Chelsea Handler responded to me, and it is hilarious. Quick recap, the roast of Kevin Hart happened recently, and Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe got blasted by Chelsea Handler for a bunch of jokes that they told that weren't even about her. She made up some bullshit about being offended by some of the racial jokes that she told that Kevin Hart himself was not offended by, and he has also responded to Chelsea Handler, which we'll get into later in this video. But what I want to focus on is what Chelsea said to me. After she came out and condemned a bunch of jokes and took shots at Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe specifically, I wrote an article for Substack. If you don't know, I write regularly about comedy and my travels on my Substack. You should definitely give it a follow. I wrote a piece about Chelsea Handler being fragile and having a fragile little baby ego who can't handle not being the center of attention, and really the fact that she was disguising her actual offense with some false social justice warrior rubbish. Because what Chelsea Handler, in my opinion, was really upset about was not any of the jokes that Shane Gillis or Tony Hinchcliffe or any of the other comedians told about Kevin or each other or races or women. She wasn't offended by any of that. She wasn't even offended about any of the jokes that were said about her. What Chelsea Handler was really offended by was this that was said by Shane Gillis.
Chelsea Handler went to dinner at Jeffrey Epstein's house in 2010. You can look it up. There's articles. It wasn't like a big party. There was like 7 people there.
You know what would really annoy Chelsea Handler? If you subscribed right now and liked the video, okay? I reckon that would really, really rustle her jimmy. So you should do it right now. I'm going to be real. If I showed up to a roast expecting people to make fun of me for looking like Gary Oldman if he was a school shooter, but then I was surprised to find out that they actually had receipts of me having dinners at notorious child sex traffickers' houses with other notorious pedophiles, I would probably be a little bit upset and offended too. But I certainly wouldn't come out on podcasts and say things like, oh, you can't joke about that when I'm a comedian. Chelsea Handler, you look ridiculous. In my piece that I wrote about Chelsea Handler, I defended the jokes and essentially just talked about how I think what she was really upset about was not the jokes, but the fact that she was outed as being friends with a notorious child sex trafficker, allegedly. And really, I just pointed out that she has a very fragile ego. And I think she was kind of upset that she wasn't the star of the night. Most other comedians had a better set than her. She called the other comedians lazy, but if you look at her set, she had some amazing jokes at the start, but then she spent the second half of her roast just complimenting Kevin and talking about what an amazing friend to women he is. And it's like, that can be true, but tell him that in private. I'm here to laugh. That's lazy. Showing up to a roast to be nice to someone, that's not funny. That's lazy. Now, I was shocked to find out that a 50-something-year-old childless woman had enough time on her hands to be reading Substack articles about vaguely successful comedians from Australia. But apparently she has the time. And she read my article and she responded. Here's what she said. She said, I had no problem with any of the jokes aimed at me. Wrong. I had a problem with making fun of a man that was murdered and jokes about lynching. That's not pride. That's decency. Oh, isn't that just such a giveaway that whatever she wrote was written with AI? No longer is the hyphen the real big tell that someone used ChatGPT to write a comment or a paragraph. It's always, that's not that, it's this. It's not this, it's that. Anytime you see that sentence in anything that someone's written, you know that ChatGPT wrote it for them. Also, it's a bit ridiculous for Chelsea Handler to be like, no, I wasn't upset about the jokes told about me. I was upset about the jokes about a man who was murdered. But the problem with that is it's completely inconsistent because George Floyd wasn't the only murdered man that was joked about on that night. They also told jokes about Charlie Kirk, which she was totally fine with. And I'm not saying that neither of those two subjects should be not okay to joke about. I'm saying that anything should be okay to joke about. And if you're going to get offended about murder, you can't be selectively offended about certain murders. Like, this one's okay, but this one's bad. You know what I mean? It just looks hypocritical. It looks like you're just trying to appeal to an ideological team. It's not morally consistent. Is murder okay to joke about or not? Like, this one's okay to joke about, but that's not okay to joke about? You're essentially saying that one guy deserved it and the other guy didn't. and it just seems hypocritical and silly. Also, as a comedian, it is just really short-sighted to be attacking other comics for joking about certain subjects. No comedian will ever sit there and defend a bad joke that did not get laughs. But every single comedian that they roast, especially the two that she was complaining about, Shane Gillis, Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony in particular had the best set of the night, right? I had never really seen him perform, and he really impressed me. So did Pete Davidson, actually. I think it was a toss-up for me personally between Pete Davidson and Tony Hinchcliffe for best set of the night. But whenever you complain about a comedian talking about certain types of subjects, there is always a clip of you pushing a similar or a worse boundary. And that's what's happened. Chelsea Handler has come out and said, you can't joke about race like that. But here's a clip of her talking about Angelina Jolie's Asian adopted children and making stereotypical race jokes that she might be offended by if she heard them at a roast said by what she determined to be a gross man.
I say a lot of bad things, only about people when I think it's true. Like Angelina Jolie, I said some things about her taking. I just don't understand why she can't adopt a baby from the country she lives in. Like, what is she, anti-American? Like, you know, there's a lot of children in America that need homes. Instead, she goes to Vietnam and adopts a baby and then changes his name to Pax. You know, I mean, you don't change somebody's name after 3 years old. He's probably running around the house. She's like, Pax, Pax. He's like, who the hell's Pax? You know? And then her statement was, well, he's adjusting to his family life really well. He is very strong. I'm like, he's 3, okay? He's not strong. He doesn't know if he probably doesn't even know he's Asian yet, okay? He certainly doesn't know he's going to be a horrible driver. Or that he's going to be amazing at doing nails. He has no idea.
Despite her personality, I actually think Chelsea Handler's really funny. When she's telling jokes, she's great. When she's complaining about other people telling jokes, she's insufferable. This late night set that she's kind of getting in trouble for being hypocritical about, that joke wasn't even the only race joke that she told during that set. Here she is talking about some Mexican dwarf and using a slur.
Now, do you have a sidekick on this show?
I have my little Mexican midget, nugget. I have to be politically correct sometimes.
Just the fact that there is literally video evidence of her pushing the boundaries and then jokingly complaining about political correctness, it just makes her look so silly when you have footage of her on podcasts now trying to enforce political correct standards upon other comics. It's like she, as a comedian, should know what it's like to push the boundaries and have to deal with just annoying, offended people and disregarding those opinions in favor of good comedy, bringing joy into the world. So, I don't know, whenever I see comedians attacking other comedians for jokes that they told that got laughs in the room, I just see it as people putting holes in a boat that they're also on. It's like, hey, you're sinking the ship. We're all going to drown. If you keep drilling holes in this thing, you're going to die as well. We can't have this. It's fucking mutiny. But Chelsea doesn't need me to explain to her why she shouldn't be getting offended on behalf of other people for jokes that were told about them. Cheryl Underwood, as we know, went on Shane Gillis's podcast to talk about how cathartic joking about her husband's tragic suicide was. She appreciated it. But not only that, Kevin Hart himself just went on Charlemagne's radio show to defend the jokes told about him and to tell everyone to shut up. Because they're being annoying about being offended.
Yeah, the George Floyd joke, it wasn't a tasteful joke to our culture, to our audience, but our audience that's watching the roast, if you're watching the roast, you get why they're doing it. You get why the racial humor is on the table. Like, it's not, I wasn't shocked. Like, that's what they do. Go look at the Tom Brady one. Like, that's what they do. It happens every year when they do a roast. It's not new. This isn't it's not a new agenda. It's not a new approach to comedy.
That's exactly right. The analogy that I use to try to explain this to people that get offended by jokes is people say, oh, that's so disrespectful. You can't say that, you can't do that. And the response to that is no, it's not disrespectful because we all have an agreement to step into the arena and say these things and laugh about these things. So it's actually not disrespectful at all. It's actually perfectly fine. It would be disrespectful and wrong for me to punch you in the face. But if you and me were UFC fighters and we stepped into the ring knowing that we were going to fight, it would not be disrespectful at all for you and I to punch each other in the face. That's the context. Every single person on the roast was stepping into a ring where the socially acceptable rules of engagement were completely changed for those 3 hours. If someone came up to Kevin and said all this horrible shit to him on the street, even as a joke, and he didn't know them, yeah, he might get his feelings hurt. He might even react aggressively. He wouldn't be wrong to do so. Try and say that, oh, you can't say these things at a roast. It's like saying, oh, your violence is wrong. You can't be punching someone when you're watching the UFC. It's like, I think you just don't like the UFC. I think that I agree with you that violence is wrong, but what you're watching is not violence. It's a sport. It's the same thing. Like, what you're watching is not racism. It's an art form. It's a performance. It's fake. It's not real. It's just to entertain and to make people laugh and to be silly. Everyone's having a good time. Why aren't you? Maybe because there aren't any notorious child sex traffickers there feeding you shrimp or whatever they were putting into your mouth at that dinner. Hey, Chelsea.
Do you feel like Tony Hinchcliffe went too far when he made that joke about George Floyd?
It's Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect less. I don't expect more.
I feel like you're saying going too far is the point. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes. I mean, that's why you're there. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to, because we're being honest. People are talking about that joke. Talk about his set. Tony Hinchcliffe arguably had the best set, or one of the best sets, between Tony and Cheryl, and I would say Naeem had a really strong set.
Naeem had a very strong set.
I actually think that the George Floyd joke was the weakest part of his set. Everything around that was amazing. I laughed at the George Floyd joke, but he kind of flubbed it. He stumbled over his words. I didn't think it was evil, but I thought all of the other jokes in the set were much better. But yeah, I think Tony had the strongest set. For me, it was Tony and Pete Davidson, but no one's talking about Pete. Maybe he just tickled me. Call me Kim Kardashian. But yeah, it seemed to be like Tony and Cheryl had the best sets, and they're the ones that Chelsea Handler's complaining about. She's complaining about Tony's jokes, and she's complaining on behalf of Cheryl Underwood. I think she's just upset because she was relatively forgettable. Like the main thing that I remember from her set was her magnificent set. Like that's what I remember from Chelsea Handler's set, was like marveling at her magnificent breasts. She had some funny jokes also, but boy, what a pair.
I liked Pete's set, and then I was like, why you had to say about Charlie Kirk?
Pete had a great set too. Pete had a Charlie Kirk joke in there.
Yeah.
Like, would I tell those jokes? No. But do I get why they're being told? Mm-hmm. Yes. Like, I'm not looking at Pete crazy. I'm not looking at Tony crazy. Like, that's what... I know what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. I know your style of comedy.
Dude, I've got so much respect for Kevin Hart in this moment. This is a huge thing for the culture of comedy to have, because Kevin Hart, he's not just a comedian, right? Most people don't know him as a stand-up comedian. This is an A+ movie star. This is like one of the most famous people on planet Earth, who's got endorsement deals, brand deals. He's the face of so many products and companies and financial institutions and so many like safe businesses that don't want to rock the boat, that can't afford to offend large groups of people. And he's coming out and defending the most abhorrent jokes, the most offensive jokes that have been told this year. Kevin Hart is standing behind them and saying, it's okay. I'm not going to apologize. I didn't tell them. They were said at my roast, but I'm okay with it. I wouldn't say them, but I'm not offended by them. And that's everyone's right to say whatever they like. That's such a powerful thing. This is why I love Kevin Hart. I think he really learned from his experience when he lost the hosting job for telling a homophobic joke. And by that, I mean he put out a fucking tweet about that. I think that the tweet was, if I found out my son was gay, I would smash a dollhouse over his head, which is, it's a funny little tweet. It's not a horrible hate crime or anything like that. It's a joke, right? From a comedian. But he lost... I think it was, did he lose hosting the Oscars out of that because he refused to apologize? And I think that him apologizing would not have gotten him the job back. I think that no matter what he did, he would have lost that job. And I think him choosing not to apologize set a really big precedent in his career, but also comedy culture in general, which is, jokes are going to be told and they're not going to be apologized for. If they get laughs, they're not going to be apologized for. If you lose a job over an innocuous tweet that is a joke, that's an injustice. And to see Kevin Hart standing behind far worse jokes, especially jokes that are wrapped into, the African American culture and the perception of him. Like, this is a big thing for him because it's not just, was this George Floyd joke okay or not? He has to address this within the racial cultural context of being an African American in America, something which, I don't understand as a white Australian guy, but that's a really big thing. And so much of Kevin Hart's audience are African Americans. Like, they're his most important demographic because those are people that buy tickets. If you have a look at the stats, the type of person that buys the most amount of tickets to see films are African Americans. That's why Kevin Hart is such a powerful movie star, because his community supports him. And if his community feels like he doesn't support them back, they'll leave him. So this is such a tightrope for Kevin to walk, where he has to be an African American interested and caring about racial justice, but he also has to be a stand-up comedian, and he has to be the face of fucking financial institutions and toothpaste and Geico or whatever the fuck he's selling. So I just have so much respect for Kevin Hart in this moment. I think it's absolutely beautiful seeing such a famous mainstream star stand behind jokes like this. I think it's a real point of evidence that, this cancel culture shit, it's fucking over, man. We're not doing that anymore. We did that for a little bit, and I think we all regret it because look who's the president. Like that's why we got him, because people started getting angry over fucking tweets instead of, actual things that matter.
I don't get affected by the attempt of humor. I get it, right? In this case, do more. It's my production. We're live. The more is what? What is it that you expect me? You want me to take a live production and stand up and fight Tony or have a reaction? Tony told a joke. It wasn't a tasteful joke to us. We didn't like it. Okay. Hey, man, fuck that joke. We move on. I don't understand why we stand on a hill and it becomes like this big thing of oh, man, the motherfuckers, they do this and they're attacking the culture. It doesn't have to be that. It literally is either you're a fan of this level of content or you're not. And if you're not a fan, then you don't watch it.
So true. Couldn't have said it better myself. The way to respond to jokes that you don't like is to not buy tickets to see that comedian. If you don't like a joke that you heard, don't go and see them. No one's forcing you to watch it. There's a fast forward button on Netflix. You can turn it off. I skipped a whole set. I won't say who, but I thought they fucking sucked and I skipped it, right? I would have skipped Chelsea, but I couldn't because I was mesmerized. I should have watched her on mute. Look, what I'm saying is getting offended, it's normal. Everybody gets offended. I've been offended before. I got offended last week. I went to a bookstore. I wanted to buy a new notebook and I took it to the counter and then I saw on the counter they were selling this photography book and it had a church on it. And then I opened up the photography book and the whole book was full of churches that were on fire and just churches burning down. And it offended me. And I didn't go, oh, how can you do this? This is blasphemy. What are you doing? I didn't do any of that. I just thought, oh, okay, I'm not going to buy a notebook from here. I put my notebook back. I bought it from somewhere else. You know, that's what you do. If someone does something that you don't like, just don't give them money. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. They can sell their fucking book. That's freedom of speech. You know, it didn't ruin my day. I just thought, oh, I don't like that. I'm not going to give them money. That's the best thing that you can do if you don't like a comedian's joke or a musician's song or a chef's food. Don't fucking pay for it, and they might fail. But if they don't fail, there's an audience that has an appetite for that stuff, and God bless them. That's great. Everyone can make whatever they like. That's being a free, and that's important. Kevin Hart wasn't the only one to respond to the backlash for the Netflix roast. Here's Tony Hinchcliffe addressing some of the criticism that he got from many people, but also from Chelsea Handler.
It's the first time I've been called a Nazi multiple times in just a few hours. I guess that's what LA writers' rooms, all these, a lot of mentally ill liberals out there that somehow with all these fucking blacks and Jews and Mexicans around me, I guess I'm a fucking Nazi somehow. I guess the guy that pulls names out of a bucket, giving everybody an opportunity, is a Nazi. Isn't that something? I was called that by a bunch of people that have never written anything in their lives, that literally have just been reading cue cards and teleprompters every project they've ever done, with the inability to improvise whatsoever. No opportunity to have their own thought. They just read what the writers wrote for them without any originality whatsoever. And the writers I used to work with, there's a few great writers in that writer's room, and the rest of them are just living in a bubble of mental illness, and it's very exciting. But, I mean, the most of it, you know what I mean? I got called a Nazi, gay, a racist over and over again. I'm none of those three things. A little fun fact. But they are they are fat, ugly, black, and Jewish. Everything I said was real about them. Just a reminder. Because I woke up today, and even though every human that I've seen told me that it was unbelievable, there's news articles, because the news isn't real, nothing is real, that say that I got lit up by Chelsea Handler, which is very, very funny, because that's not what happened at all. You can't believe anything you see or read on the news anymore. You have to actually watch the thing for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the stuff that Tony said, he was joking about attributes that the people he was joking about actually had. I said in my previous video that Chelsea Handler got stitched up by the camera operator when she told jokes about comedians taking money from Saudi Arabia to go to Riyadh Comedy Festival, because she told that joke and the camera cut to Tony Hinchcliffe. He did not take that money. And I defended her saying, I think they just switched to the wrong person, because Kevin Hart and Pete Davidson both took that money and did do the Riyadh Comedy Festival. However, I ended up watching her set again after a couple people left comments saying, no, she was talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. And I watched what she said, and the first half of the joke was her talking about, MAGA supporting right-wing comedians that got Donald Trump elected. And then she talks about those comedians taking that money. Now, Tony Hinchcliffe did speak at a Trump rally. He did do a set at a Trump rally, but he did not take the Saudi Arabia money. Kevin Hart and Pete Davidson did not support Donald Trump. In fact, I think Pete Davidson even supported publicly the Democrats, but they did take the Saudi Arabia money. So the joke actually just doesn't make sense. The first half of it is not about the people that took the Saudi Arabia money, and the second half of it, I don't know, neither of those things make sense. It's one or the other. So I think it was actually just a shitty joke, and I gave Chelsea Handler the benefit of the doubt when I should not have.
She was a bit of a, I'll tell you that. She just kept coming at me over. She said I took the Saudi Arabia money. She was like wrong about things. The writers just didn't do her any justice. But then the teleprompter, the fun fact, the teleprompter only went down during my set, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to remind Chelsea Handler what she looks like and where her life is, because she had it coming. You know, everybody wants to go up early in those things, and they put a lot of the people that they know will do good at the end, which is fucking bullshit, because some people turn off the television before that happens. And so what they don't realize, though, because they want to go up early when the crowd's all fresh, is that I'm sitting there watching what they're doing. So when Chelsea kept coming at me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fuck this bitch up.
And yeah, that's exactly what happened. She took a lot of pre-written shots at him, one which didn't make any sense, and a few others that seemingly were not written by her, but just by fucking writers' rooms people. And then he got on and just annihilated her in response to what she said about him. It's very similar to rap battles, right? Which rap battles are another level of rebuttal, because a lot of rap battles, the rappers will respond to what the guy said before them, which is hard enough to do. But when you have to make it rhyme as well and fit into a rhyme scheme that you wrote 3 weeks ago, that's unbelievable when rappers can do it. So it's very similar rap battles and roast battles. So I thought Tony did great here, and it's very funny seeing everyone just dismiss Chelsea Handler's critiques of the roast. It's great.
It was so rough. I woke up looking like Chelsea Handler. That's how rough. That's how rough my night was. I just had like that Botox swollen, inflamed face that just, seems like you used to be successful 15 years ago and you're not anymore. You know what I mean? I just like felt like that. The worst feeling. Thank God. Then I just took a 2-hour nap and I was back to being one of the best in the world. And no, I'm kidding. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's something very sad about someone in their 50s going home to their childless home and talking shit about someone that objectively did a better performance than you, who is also currently more successful than you. It just sucks. Like, talking shit about people that are more successful than you is really embarrassing and fucking lame. Anyway, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel where I talk about people that are far more successful than me from my bedroom. I'm Lewis Spears. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.